Bitter criticism. This episode is a full house episode, which means we have our top three political analysts. Why? Just because, well, diversity. Hey, stay here, dogs. Hey, no. Pera. I don't trust you anymore, Mursi. I don't trust you both. These dogs over here, guess what? Stinky again. Well, I'm just gonna do my show, my news show. My news. I don't know what. Mursi. Yeah, Mursi just free herself from. And this episode is full of. We have our three favorite analysts, which is Timur Fomenko, Pepe Escobar, and Blankenship. The question is, Blankenship is publishing in CGTN this time. In CGTN. So I just heard two columns from Pepe Escobar in Portuguese on YouTube. One from Pepe Café, and the other. This Pepe Café was the Venezuelan coffee, actually, the Venezuelan coffee one, and well. And well, it looks like Pepe Escobar is running out of money. Pepe Escobar is kind of publishing a book. We hope the best for him, for his finances. I hope the best. I guess the whole global south hopes the best for Pepe. Maybe sometimes we make a joke here, but it's just jokes, you know. Like he's a double agent. This is just a joke. For the God's sake. Who knows? You know, this is a good question actually. Are journalists agents? Are journalists agents anyway? Maybe, maybe they are. I guess they are. I guess everything is politic, Every gesture is politic. Like this banner you barely can see is the always well the lens are not so it's not so focused, but nevertheless this is an independent bullshit channel. No, the quality is not that great, of course. Maybe we'll get robbed here because times are hard nowadays. But I guess not, I guess I will not get robbed here. Who knows? But I have Tommy here. What about Tommy? Can you see Tommy over there? Anyway, so we have our three analysts. This is the first time. I will call this episode, I will call this episode Full House. Full House, Pepe Escobar, Full House, Timur Fomenko, Pepe Escobar, and Blankenship. But I want to give an advice to Pepe. As I always saying, I was living in Brazil most part of my life. I'm not sure how much, maybe, but this time is more than the half of my life in Brazil. So I know a lot of opportunities for someone like Pepe Escobar in Brazil. Pepe Escobar can do a master's degree, why not? They will pay you, they will pay Pepe Escobar a scholarship. And maybe that's what I want to do too. A master's degree course in Brazil. And that will be great for Pepe. Pepe will hate because he will do this if he listen my advice, he will have people will have a scholarship. People will have a lot of debates with a lot of teachers, but in the end, debate is healthier. You know, debate is great. Debate is great. Hashtag debate is great. Well, that's what I want to do, and well, my only problem, my real problem in life, are those dogs over here, because these dogs doesn't have a protector, doesn't have an owner. So I guess the only dog maybe I can take with me is Milu, because it's the smallest. And what about Pepe? Pepe just have a wife, I guess, and that's it. Oh, I'm sorry. I have no idea, Pepe, but think about it. You will be in Brazil making trying to survive in Brazil, eventually surviving and making a master degree course, and that's it. And you will not have to rely on a YouTube channel. I don't do that, you know. I just have this channel just to practice my English. I have zero expectations, financial expectation on this. My only expectation is get robbed here. No, no, to have a big fight here with Tommy and stuff. Tommy, let's have a fight here with with the thugs. Anyway, let's read. So yeah, a master course in Brazil. Think about it, Pepe. I want to do a master course in the Pernambuco Federal University about design. What about design, Pepe? Let's be classmates. Can you imagine that? Well, I guess it's not gonna happen because I never actually dreamt about Pepe Escobar. Once I dreamt, you know who? I dreamt with. There was a journalist too. I dreamt with Heródoto Barbeiro. I dreamt too. I always dreamt with journalists. I dreamt with Joe Miyagi from Rede TVT. I'm kind of crazy. I barely I guess I just once had erotic dream like usual people have. But anyway, communication is good. This is from Bradley Blankenship from CGTN. So that's why I say I'm having this accent, this Chinese accent, this Chinese English speaking accent. Just like this lady journalist from CGTN. I hope someday I dream about her, and maybe that will be erotic for me. Anyway, communication is good, but China, no, but US, China need more bilateral formats and people-to-people exchanges. This is an opinion article from April 4, 2 days ago. I will not watch this very light from the cell phone because I can read nothing after that, because I get blind. Just maybe Blankenship, maybe blind. Bradley blind. Opinion. Bradley Blankenship. An image posted on, this is the image of CGTN. An image posted on X, Twitter, shows Chinese President Xi Jinping shaking hands with US President Joe Biden upon meeting in San Francisco, US, November 15, 2023. This is spokesperson CHN. This is the photographer. Editor's note: Bradley Blankenship, a special commentator on current affairs for CGTN, is a Prague-based American journalist, political analyst, and freelancer reporter. The article reflects the author's opinion and not necessarily the views of CGTN. You know, this guy is half American, half Czech, but some time ago he is not making criticisms against the U.S. But that was interesting because he's actually American too, and he knows America, and that's why it's interesting to have a traitor with us, the global South. But the last time he was kind of protecting America, and that happens every time with people like Michael. I forgot the name. Well, Noam Chomsky. Michael. The Pepe Escobar friend. Michael Hudson. Yeah. I guess Michael Hudson is a big influence on my accent right here. And well, Americans they are always protecting the U.S. I'm not sure if because of fear or because of nationalism anyway, or because they are American, and maybe I am American too because I'm talking like an American. Who knows? I saw this article from CNBC, I guess, from a woman that traveled from Florida to Virginia State searching for a job, and there was no job. She was never hired. I have zero idea about that distance, about that geography, about America itself, you know. But I guess it's not that bad. Anyway, so yeah, it's good to keep reading. It's good to keep critic against the U.S. I guess that's my opinion. U.S. President Joe Biden and his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping held a phone call on April 2nd, to this. No, right here it says on April 2 to discuss important issues concerning the two largest economies' bilateral relations. From his part, President Xi stressed, according to the Chinese readout of the call, the issue of strategic perception is always fundamental to China-US relationship. Just like the first bottom of a chart that must be put right. What? Well, anyway, indeed, I never use those kind of jersey bottoms, but you know, I always wearing sport clothes, sport outfits. That's me. For his part, President Xi stressed, yeah. Oh, President Xi, yeah. Oh yeah, it was my president actually. I'm sorry, President. I will wear a shirt just because of you. A jersey like that. China understands the US quite well. While tensions have been on the rise in recent years in relation to rising US escalations. Oh no, I missed this. Indeed, the perception that the US government and civil society have of China is of great importance in defining how the relationship between the two countries moves forward. For Washington, this perception has been based on a serious misunderstanding. China understands the US quite well, while tensions have been on the rise in recent years in relation to the rising US escalations. The Chinese government and Chinese civil society still have respect for the US despite obvious flaws, namely Washington's propensity to interfere in the internal affairs of other nations and use international law for cynical self-gain. Yet, there is hope from China's side. President Xi told US Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer last October, the Thucydides' trap is not inevitable, and planet Earth is vast enough to accommodate their respective development and common prosperity of China and the US. He said of the US and China, I am in you, and you are in me, to create a metaphor of the choose connection of the world stage on the world stage. The US, however, does not see it this way. It believes that it can contort international law to fit its agenda, skirt world trade obligations for its own benefit, and simply impose restrictions or sanctions or however or whatever it wants to maintain its own strategic dominance. Such a pattern of behavior is both detrimental to the global community and also self-sabotaging, setting the stage for Washington's inevitably oscillation on the world stage, probably within a generation. I just remember this metaphor that was better from Pepe Escobar, I guess. Pepe Escobar said in Brazil YouTube channel TV 24/7. He says like that I forgot the frog. How to cook a frog. Pepe Escobar said that, or maybe someone, other people said, other analysts, some friend of him said that the West is like a frog being cooked. Like the West doesn't really know the heat inside the boiling stuff. I don't have the vocabulary. The boiling. Anyway, the boiling bowl, I guess. It's not bowl, but you know, it's getting so much hot in geopolitics that the West as a frog is dying, is getting cooked, and the West doesn't realize. The US, however, I miss myself. Oh yeah, I'm here. So there's a photography. Oh, this is a nice newspaper, a nice journal, because there's no publicity. There's no more other news, news related. There's never, I guess. So we have a photograph at Textile Enterprises Intelligent Workshop in Fuzhou, Fujian Province, China, May 23, 2023. For example, the US continues to tighten the screws around China's high-tech sectors by sanctioning scores of Chinese entities. The US is also upping the anti-militarily by causing provocations in the South China Sea and in the Taiwan Straits, even pushing closer to the Chinese mainland's red line around the Taiwan question. Meanwhile, the US, despite these substantial provocations, has maintained seemingly open communication with Beijing and never restored to freezing diplomatic relations. Joe Biden has described the relationship between the two countries as the most consequential relationship of our time. This was the impetus behind the San Francisco meeting before the APEC summit last year. Many have noted, however, that this is not enough. Often compared to the 21st century Cold War, rising tensions between the two countries do not enjoy the same benefits and those shared between the US and the Soviet Union. For one important example, there are no bilateral forums for limiting military provocations of or reducing nuclear weapons production. This raises serious concerns about the risk of strategic miscalculations in the future. Given this, it is not hard to imagine that more tangible platforms designed to promote peace, people-to-people exchanges, and international cooperation could manifest themselves. Likewise, given the 21st century conditions that Washington and Beijing exist in today, there is a clear imperative. Climate change, the threat of global pandemics, and emerging security threats such as terrorism demand both major powers to cooperate in organized formats. It is natural that the US and China will compete, and undoubtedly that competition will be one of the greatest in history, given the strengths that both sides carry across a wide spectrum of dimensions. But in a world where confrontation means suicide, such a thing must be avoided at all costs. Communication is a positive development, but it is certainly not enough if the world is expected to reliably navigate complex global issues, including those concerning the persistence of organized human life. So that's it. If you want to contribute and have specific expertise, please contact us, Opinions CGTN. I wonder if they are asking for money. If you want to contribute and have specific expertise, please contact us at Opinions CGTN. I will do it just because I want to go to Hainan. Because I want to live in Hainan. That's it. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna write from two emails, from two different emails. One, a Cretan guy saying, "Hello, I want to live in Hainan. Is there opportunities for a hard worker?" And other like, "Oh, I don't know." Oh, that's the truth, you know. But that's it. So, you know what I really think about Bradley Blankenship? Let's say he's an American citizen. So he grew up in America. So what happens with a human being raised in America? This kind of people, they have the benefits of imperialism, but they also have the pressure of censorship, the pressure of imperialism itself, the pressure of the power, you know? So an American citizen will never be completely free, you know? In a lesser degree, a journalist, you know? An American journalist can never be so extremely bitter, critical. Maybe like me, you know? Maybe sometimes I've been critical. What I'm saying right now is I don't want to die. That's it, you know. I don't want to have a tomahawk in my head right now, you know. I know the US can do it, but I want to keep living with my dogs, you know. That's it. I don't want to die, basically, you know. So that was the third place. Yeah, Bradley Blankenship sounds well. I guess he's kind of a soft writer, you know. That's why I like Bradley Blankenship among too many others, you know, because he's soft. He always have these funny, these soft observations. Like Xi Jinping really said that that comment about the bottom of the jersey, you know, that, well, I will never pay attention to that because this is just a politician saying anything. But that you have a comment about, and well, there's some music, I like to read an American native because in I guess somehow American natives have a better English, does it? A better control over the language, he dominates better the English language. So a better domain maybe, yeah. Can you see I'm not a native? But anyway, I will read Timur Fomenko just because it's here in this order, in this file. And then we will end it up with my friend, with my classmate Pepe Escobar. No, it's not my classmate. I hope so. I hope to be a Pepe Escobar classmate in master degree course in Brazil. Why not, Pepe? April 4, 2024. Homeworld News. New hacking allegations against China aren't what they seem. Washington and London are claiming Beijing sponsored a cybercrime campaign against them 3 years ago. Why did they wait until now? Washington and London are claiming Beijing sponsored a cybercrime campaign against them 3 years ago. By Timur Fomenko, political analyst. Well, that's because it's my favorite. It's super interesting, isn't it? I guess it's super interesting. Well, and the last time I read some article from Maria Zakharova, and she said the same thing, that the Washington Post said they warned about the terrorism crack in Moscow, the recent terrorist attack, but that's not true. Anyway, criticism against American people. I understand that Blankenship will never post something like this because he's an American. New hacking allegations against China aren't what they seem. A photograph Nicolas Asfouri, AFP, in March, the UK, and in conjunction with the US and other members of the Five Eyes Intelligence Alliance, accused China of engaging in a state-sponsored hacking campaign against them. In response to the alleged attack, they launched coordinated sanctions against a small group of hackers and their associated businesses. These sanctions were particularly big news in Britain, where the government suddenly decided that Beijing had been behind the hack on the Electoral Commission 3 years ago. Notably, the country's Conservative Party-aligned newspaper outpushed this narrative in an aggressive fashion. These accusations by the Five Eyes nations are not so much genuine concerns as they are a deliberate and opportunistic act of political theater which, largely driven by the US, seeks to slander China for diplomatic and political gain. These sanctions, although narrow in scope and thus meaningless, are designed to try and send a message to and about China. It is essentially a fear-mongering campaign which seeks to both undermine Beijing's engagement with other countries and serve domestic political purposes in the US. The rhythm of US escalations and de-escalation with China. The US has an adept foreign policy whereby it intentionally chooses to escalate and de-escalate tensions with China at opportune moments, which is precisely why calls for engagement with Beijing coming from Washington D.C. cannot be trusted. The U.S. does not change its goals or its policies. Only its tactics is in consideration of what suits what suits it at that particular moment. Like, this is my comment: convenience. Yeah. Hence, it has always alternated between overtures and deliberate provocations. It usually does so by having a certain report or development leaked to the media at an opportunistic time in order to craft a particular narrative which mandates a certain set of reactions and policy responses. How America's no, this is another news. This is what I don't like, because I'm not I don't have the layout. I'm reading from a file. Well, another news: how America stops spy master sees the world and why it's so disappointing. This is a good news, an interesting one. Read more how America does it. To give some examples of such, this is the article from Timur Fomenko back again. To give some examples of such, the Trump administration played down tensions with China directly in 2019, even amidst the Hong Kong crisis, in order to secure a trade deal with Beijing. Once it got what it wanted by 2020 and the COVID-19 pandemic struck, it deliberately unleashed a full-on crusade against Beijing on every front. Similarly, the Biden administration came into office and then immediately upped tensions with China on the Xinjiang issue in order to damage China's ties with Europe and build up to coordinated sanctions as a display of transatlantic unity. After this was done, it then decided it wanted to cool things down for a bit and establish guardrails to the rhetoric guns silent for a few months as Washington reached out to Beijing. Then, as the 2022 Beijing Winter Olympics came, it took the Xinjiang card off the shelf again with a number of timed leaks and publications geared towards supporting a Winter Olympics boycott, as well as a sweeping ban on all Xinjiang goods under the premise of forced labor at that time. What we see is that the US does not truly de-escalate with China. It blows hot and cold, and essentially manipulates the media cycle to pursue its policy preferences and it sees fit. This means that major issues pertaining to China only tend to appear when there is an agenda serving it. The newest phase. Now the Biden administration has made a political design to escalate tensions with China by accusing it, in coordination with the Five Eyes, of state-backed hacking and cybercrime. The fact that the British government will sit on such an accusation for 3 years suggests both clear political pursuit and timing. The question is, why? First, we are approaching a presidential election in the US. It was always and inevitably it was always an inevitability that the administration will want to appear tough on China to prevent the issue from being used as an attack point by Biden's rival, Donald Trump. As seen in 2020, an election year tends to become a year of every aggressive rhetoric and extreme theatrics. Secondly, there is the goal of undermining China's engagement with Europe. It was being publicly announced that Xi Jinping will visit a number of European countries in May, including France. As stated above, the US, with the support of the Five Eyes countries, actively seeks to damage Chinese diplomacy with Europe by weaponizing negative publicity in order to narrow political space for engagement. Well, at least they will not kill Xi Jinping. Can you imagine this? Well, I don't know why, but that's the first question I thought about it. Not as a terrorist. I'm not a terrorist, but just like a citizen, you know. If they don't like Xi Jinping, why they don't just kill them? I'm sorry. What we see from this is that the US engages China on its own terms, but seeks to prevent those it deems as allies from doing the same, and thus resorts to psychological warfare through the manipulation of mass media. In conclusion, when one sees the strategies being utilized, one recognizes that the Western media has far less independence and impartiality that it claims to have, but is indirectly subject to the preferences of US policy. When the White House says jump, reporters ask how high? How high? And thus we see that the new propaganda campaign has been cultivated against Beijing. But of course, we should not be blind to the reality that there is no greater weaponization of cyberspace and espionage in the world than the system created by the Five Eyes. And are we really going to pretend the CIA doesn't hack anyone? The statements, views, and opinions expressed in this column are solely those of the author and do not necessarily represent those of Russia Today. Yeah, but the question is, Russia Today never published bloody Blankenship since 3 months ago. That's a lot, because these analysts, they publish like once a week or twice a week. So I have little time for Pepe Escobar. I just gonna start some article I found in Pepe Escobar Rock and Roll Geopolitics on Telegram. So that's it. We have Brother Blankenship, an American journalist, saying everything is good, everything is fine. And we have Timur Fomenko, a Russian guy, basically explaining why Russia Today is not publishing Bradley Blankenship anymore, but CGTN, you know. So Timur Fomenko always published in Russia Today, and Bradley Blankenship no more, only CGTN. That's how the world is going. Well, yeah. So can you see that move? Yeah. Well, anyway, those two guys are important. So well, yeah. It's just like I thought the previous time. Russia is getting isolated. But anyway, I just gonna start the news from Pepe Escobar just to say Escobar, the Sahel axis of resistance. That's it. We have the three analysts. Tyler Burden's photograph by Tyler Burden, not Pepe Escobar. Wednesday, April 3, 2024. Authored by Pepe Escobar, my next classmate in UFPE in Pernambuco. My classmate on design master course of design. I hope. Authored by Pepe Escobar via The Cradle, Lebanese media. The African Sahel is revolting against Western neocolonialism, ejecting foreign troops and bases, devising alternative currencies, and challenging the old multinationals. Multipolarity, after all, cannot flower without resistance paving its path. The emergence of axes of resistance in various geographies is an inextricable byproduct of the long and winding process leading us toward a multipolar world. These two things, resistance to the hegemon and the emergence of multipolarity, are absolutely complementary. The axis of resistance in West Asia across Arab and Muslim states now finds as its sole sister the axis of resistance spanning the Sahel in Africa, west to east from Senegal, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger to Chad, Sudan, and Eritrea. Unlike Niger, where the changes in power against neocolonialism was associated with a military coup, in Senegal the power change comes straight from the polls. But I read the last time that the actual president was in jail just because of another coup tentative, another coup try, just like in Brazil with Lula. Senegal plunged itself into a new era with the landslide victory of Bassirou Diomaye Faye, 44, in nationwide elections on 24 March. A former tax inspector who had just spent a fortnight stint in jail. Faye emerged with the profile of an underdog Pan-African leader to run the most stable democracy in Africa. Pan-African leader to turn the most stable democracy in Africa under French puppet incumbent Macky Sall upside down. Yeah, maybe. No, I guess maybe Senegal will be better now. The incoming Senegalese president now joins Ibrahim Traoré, 36, in Burkina Faso, by Ahmed, 36, in Ethiopia, Andry Rajoelina, 48, in Madagascar, as well as future superstar Julius Malema, 44, in South Africa, as part of the new young Pan-African generation focused on sovereignty. In this election, Manifesto Faye pledged to reclaim Senegal's sovereignty to no less than 18 times. I hope so. I guess I have no more time for the 37 minute. Let's see. Oh no, I have 3 more minutes. Calma, the incoming Senegalese just a second. Geoeconomics is key to this shift. As Senegal becomes a substantial oil and gas producer, Faye will aim to renegotiate mining and energy contracts, including the largest ones with British Petroleum (BP) and UK gold mine operator Endeavour Mining. Crucially, he plans to dish the exploitative CFA franc, the French-controlled currency system used in 14 African states, even setting up a new currency as part of reshaping relations with neo-colonial power France, Senegal's top trading partner. Faye echoing Comrade Xi Jinping was a win-win partnership. I hope the best for Africa. So yeah, I guess next time I will read it all. But that's it. So yeah, I heard this term geoeconomics too. Maybe I thought about this some time ago too. But technology is great. You can download if you don't have internet, like me. You can download a lot of videos, a lot of podcasts from YouTube. Direct to your cell phone via BigConv, like big conversion, BigConv, 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 and that's it. And then you will have a lot of podcasts, and in some podcasts like that, there's a lot of podcasts of Pepe Escobar too, and there's also a podcast where somebody says something about geoeconomics, and I'm just reading Tommy. Yeah, Tommy, don't kill nobody. Go fight for global south, Tommy. Tommy is an American dog. Well, he's Argentinian too. Well, dogs doesn't have nationality, and you both are my loves. I will keep playing lottery to take you to Brazil to study and have and die in the heat. Yeah, you boys, you will die in the heat. A lot of fleas and ticks